So, do you have one of those favorite TV theme songs of all time, or at least your own top 10 list of the best TV themes of all time? Well, today I'm going to share mine because it's me and Mike, and that's how I like it. So, I've got 10 theme songs in no particular order. I like them all for one reason or another. We're just going to start with the first one that happens to be in front of me right now, and that happens to be a very little known fact about the original Dick Van Dyke Show, and that is that Maury Amsterdam, who played Buddy Sorrell on the show, actually wrote lyrics for the theme song, which were never used. Obviously, Maury Amsterdam's been gone for many, many years now, but Dick Van Dyke, during an appearance on one talk show, sang the original lyrics that were supposed to go with the theme song, and it went a little something like this.
So you think that you've got trouble? Well, trouble's a bubble. So tell old Mr. Trouble to get lost. Why not hold your head up high and stop crying, start trying, and don't forget to keep your fingers crossed. When you find the joy of living is loving and giving, you'll be there when the winning dice are tossed. A smile is just a frown that's turned upside down. So smile and that frown will defrost. And don't forget to keep your fingers crossed.
So there you go. Don't forget to keep your fingers crossed. Boom, boom. It seems like that should be sung with like a barbershop quartet. So you think that you've got trouble? You think that you've got trouble? But anyway, it's really entertaining, and I actually really like that the lyrics. This is kind of the point of this entire podcast, is to discuss how I believe we've lost touch with some of the kind of simple pleasures of life. Everything has become complicated, and, everybody is overreading what people are saying because they don't want to agree with them, or because they do want to agree with them. And so we've started, instead of becoming a black and white society, and I don't mean by color, but I mean in perspective of let's be happy, let's be glad. We've got into all these different gray areas of emotions and kind of lost sight of family and community and just pure joy. And that's what theme songs like this that I'm sharing represent to me, and the times that seem, unfortunately, a distant memory. So let's go on to the next one. Which is a theme for a show that was on for a while. It didn't run as long as some shows, but let's see if you recognize the theme, and if not, then I'll tell you what it is after we listen to this. So there you have it. There is the next one. Can anyone guess what TV show that goes to? Because it doesn't actually say the name of the show. There's no. It's more just gospel music. And does anybody know what show that's from? or who the star of that show was. I'll give you a chance to think about it. 10 seconds. That's probably 10 seconds. If it's not, then, sue me. I didn't promise you 10 seconds. I just said, here's 10 seconds to think about it. Okay, so that is the theme song to the show Amen, which starred an actor who I just adored as a kid. So passionate and funny, and just not afraid to put it all out there. There's an actor named Sherman Hemsley. Many people, if you know the names behind some of television's greatest characters, will recognize Sherman Hemsley as the man who played George Jefferson. But he had many other roles that he played. He did guest spots all over the place. He was that kind of lovable curmudgeon or whatever that word is, that people you always saw that underneath all of his things, kind of like Archie Bunker, that there was something within the character of George Jefferson. I mean, not necessarily Sherman Hemsley, but within that whole realm of that character of George Jefferson, just like with Archie Bunker. And Archie Bunker, the All in the Family theme, is not on my list here. It wasn't in my top 10 necessarily, but that he was this character who, underneath all of that kind of resentment in some ways, he had a really good moral base. And Amen was kind of an extension of this sort of, it laughed a little bit about, the ministry, but also about, religion, but also it also had a real connection to faith in a lot of ways, and how important it is to have faith in a time when people were becoming more and more faithless, if you want to call it, or choosing not to put their faith in a deity, but to put their faith in themselves, which everybody has a right to do whatever they want to do. So that is the theme to Amen, which I adored. But since we're on the subject of Sherman Hemsley, how did you and Isabel Sanford, who was a brilliant actress, by the way, and who was 20 years older than Sherman Hemsley, what did you do? What was your goal?
Well, we're moving on up, to the east side, to the deluxe apartments in the sky. Moving on up, to the east side. We finally got a piece of the pie. Fish don't fry in the kitchen, beans don't burn on the grill. Took a whole lot of trying just to get up that hill. Now we're up in the big leagues, hitting our turn at bat. As long as we live, it's you and me, baby. It ain't nothing wrong with that. Oh yeah, we're moving on up, to the east side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. Moving on up, to the east side. We finally got a piece of the pie.
I just love that song. It's there's so much in the Jeffersons theme song that people should love. It's overcoming adversity, Took a whole lot of trying just to get up that hill, but now we're up in the big leagues. And then also about realizing, stick with the person that's there beside you, It's like, at the end, during the song, it says, these guy, I want to make sure I quote it correctly. Let's see. As long as we live, it's you and me, baby. I just want to make sure I quote the line correctly. It is such a great song, and I kind of just get lost in the song. As long as we live, it's you and me, baby, and ain't nothing wrong with that. And it's like, stick with the person who went through that struggle with you. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a lover. It could be your family, you know. Friends will come and go in way. There are certain types of people who will come and go throughout your success and your failure. It's the ones who stick with you during the worst of times, which in this case was during their struggle on the way up, that you want to keep close to you because it means they appreciate you, they know what you went through, and they respect you for what you went through, and they love you. And that's one of the things that I get from the theme from the Jeffersons that I really enjoy. And then there's this song, this TV theme I'm going to go to next, which is really about the same kind of thing, about as long as we have each other, which is actually the title of our next theme.
Show me that smile again. Don't waste another minute on your crying. We're nowhere near the end. The best is ready to begin.
On a clouded day, I look into your eyes and see the shining.
Holding you close this way. It's like having summer every day. As long as we got each other, we got the world spinning right in our hands, baby, you and me. We gotta be the luckiest dreamers who never quit dreaming. As long as we keep on giving, we can take anything that comes our way. All the time, we got each other, sharing the laughter and love.
Sharing the laughter and love. And that is absolutely true. As long as you have the people you love around you and that support you and stick with you through the hardest of times, that is where there's a lot of safety and comfort and certainty in life, because you know that they can look back at you when you did stupid things, like if you got into relationships that were obviously bad for you, and or you made decisions to do this kind of a job and it was just a horrific experience for you. They're the ones who can look back at that with you and laugh. And as long as you have people who know that road you've gone down and that you know the road they've gone down, there's a lot of, you could get through those times and you could appreciate all those challenging experiences and look back at them now. I remember recently hearing the tape of I was going through some of my old audio tapes, and I came through this audio tape of this woman singing who I knew years ago, who I just had a major crush on. And I listened to this audio tape, and I went, wow. Love really is blind and also hearing impaired, because this lady was, I'm not a good singer. Neither was she. But she's saying she had a lot of passion in her effort. She just needed auto-tuner, and auto-tuner has already been decided it would not work to fix anything that I try to sing. So, I really like this idea of, in the theme shows, the theme songs back in the day that would support this whole idea of, appreciate the people that are around you and don't get caught up in the fly-by-night passionate things and think that those things that don't last forever and that you pretty much know aren't going to last forever. Stick with the people who, kind of traveled the journey with you, And it doesn't mean you have to meet them when you were young. You can meet them when you were 40 and they could be significant to you, you know what I mean, for that matter. But it just means that the people who stick around do the best and the worst of times. And especially during the worst of times. Those are the ones who you know are completely loyal. So let's go on to one of my favorite TV themes, and a little bit of commitment to my birth, believe it or not, in a weird way. The time that I was born, this TV show would be starting to play on television, where I lived in Texas at the time I was born. This show was starting at the time that's listed on my birth certificate. Let's see if you know what TV show this is for.
Here's what to do when you don't find the rainbows in this time. Here's where to go when it looks like the rainbow ends. Don't cry. There's always tomorrow where you can have a second chance. And after tomorrow, all that you have to remember. Here's what to do when you think nobody cares for you. Look in my eyes and you see there's an answer there. It's true. We'll find tomorrow's a place for us. I know because time only knows how long forever's gonna last. And we don't even need to ask. Let's live today and find someone to share it with. 'Cause we only have one life to live. I'll give you tomorrow. Just let me be the one to share it with. And each day that follows. 'Cause we only have one life to live.
So there you have it. Do you know what TV show that's from? I mean, it says it in the title. So unless you're completely unaware of soap operas back in the day, this is the theme from 84 to 91 for the TV soap opera One Life to Live, starring Erica Slezak, Robin Strasser. Later on, it starred one of my favorite actors, a guy by the name of Roger Howarth, who played Todd Manning. And Roger Howarth was a fascinating story with his, rise to fame as an actor within the soap opera daytime television community, because Roger Howarth's character on One Life to Live was a rapist. He started out as being this one among several characters who commit this rape on the TV show One Life to Live. And his primary focus was to bring attention to this character. I can't remember the actor's name was, or even the character name he played. But his whole focus was to bring attention to the effects of being involved in this situation with these other frat guys, and how he tried to fit in and how he got caught into a bad situation. And Todd, played by Roger Howarth, was like the ringleader, and he ends up going to prison. But it was his skill as an actor of telling a story outside of the dialogue they gave him that made him very interesting to people, myself included. And as a result of it, they ended up evolving his character much further, letting him show that he actually, where his behaviors came from as a child, letting him repent, so to speak, from the kind of things he did and the way he hurt the main character. So he really redeemed himself and went through a series of back and forths, dying and coming back to life and dying and coming back to life within the storyline. But I like that song, talking about, when you don't feel like you're finding the rainbow, you just got to hold on for another day because there's only one life to live and you got to make the best of it. And if there's no rainbow today, you keep looking for it because there's a rainbow out there. And there's always an end to every rainbow where you'll find something beautiful about it. Maybe the beauty is a lesson. Maybe the beauty is a reward of some kind for all the work you went through, a successful business or finally finding the person you're supposed to love. But there is a reward out there, and there are many rainbows. And when you get to the end of one, you got to go for another one. And that's sort of the experience of life, is not chasing rainbows, but the journey across the rainbow to where the pot of gold is, so to speak. So the next two actually, are going to be parts of a theme song you may not be familiar with because you don't ever hear them on the shows themselves. You'd have to go look them up and know that there is an extra part of the theme. And that goes for both of these songs. Now, I don't know if you're going to recognize, I don't know if you're going to recognize the first one because it wasn't the most popular show back then, but it's someone recognizable. Let's just see if you know which one it is. Say it to yourselves out loud, or yell it out loud if you know the answer to this.
Heading up that highway, leaving you behind. Hardest thing I ever had to do. Broke my heart in two, but baby, pay no mind. The price for finding me was losing you. Memories help me hide my lonesome feeling. Far away from you and feeling low. It's getting late, my friend, my love, I miss you so. Take good care of you, I've gotta go.
So, do you know what TV show that is from? 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, darn it, you were so close. That is the second verse to the TV show theme for WKRP in Cincinnati. The one that used to start, baby, if you ever wondered whatever became of me. I'm living on the air in Cincinnati, WKRP. So that is the second verse of that song, and I think I like the second verse even more than the first verse because that really tells the story of the character, and saying I really wanted to find my place in the world. And I found it, and it took a journey, and that means that, we're probably not meant for one another, but I finally found my place. And he even says, within the lyrics, it says, the price for finding me was losing you. And, sometimes that's the sacrifice you have to make to find out where you belong, to find out where you're happy. And you could still love that person, even if you're not necessarily meant to be together. Sometimes that's the greatest love, is to love someone that you're not meant to be with. I have a feeling for someone like that someone I care for deeply, but I also know that it would not be good in the long term because I'm still trying to find what's important to me and where I want to be in life. And it would be unfair to bring them that struggle when I don't know where I'm going to finally end up. And I'm not sure that would match with what their desires are for the future. And in a lot of ways I know that, but you have to be willing to know you love someone, but also know that, part of loving someone is being willing to not to be willing to lose them if you know that your journey is not taking you where you need to go yet, and if the destination of your journey may not coincide with the kind of things they're trying to do. And knowing that that's okay. There's still room for love. Doesn't always have to be in the, sense where you're married and going to the chapel of love. See, I don't have auto-tune. This is why. This is why you don't want me or this other woman I was talking about singing. Okay, so here is the next one. Let's see if you know. I think you'll know this one by the tune, but let's see if you recognize what TV show this song is from.
You are most likely to succeed. You have the looks and charms, and girl, you know that's all you need. All the men around adore you. That sexy look will do wonders for you. Love is all around, no need to waste it. You can have the town, why don't you take it? You're gonna make it after all.
Okay. That last part of the song should tell you what that is from. Who knows it? I don't have the crickets on my soundboard anymore, so I can't play crickets. I don't have the drum roll either. I wish I had. And the winner is... That is the second verse of the Sonny Curtis song for the Mary Tyler Moore Show. Now, does anybody know who Sonny Curtis is? It's a fascinating story behind Sonny Curtis. So, if you're familiar with the day the music died, is commonly referred to the day the music died, happened, I think it was February 2nd, 1957. I want to make sure that's right. Echo, when did Buddy Holly die?
Buddy Holly died on February 3rd, 1959, at the age of 22 due to plane crash.
Okay. It says February 3rd. I'm not sure if it was in the early hours of February 3rd or the late night of February 3rd. I thought it was the 2nd, but I've never made a mistake, so it's got to be that. No. So it's probably the 3rd. Either way, the whole idea is that Buddy Holly and the Crickets were a big band for a long time, and then Buddy Holly kind of started to become a solo artist, and he and the original Crickets broke up. So the story goes that he decided to, because he was not making as much money at one point and he had a baby on the way, he decided to go out and do a tour during the winter, which was a very rough tour. And one of the people he brought along with him as a substitute cricket, the two people he brought along with him on this tour as substitute crickets were Sonny Curtis and Waylon Jennings. Well, I don't want to, destroy the truth of the story behind it, but Sonny Curtis and Waylon Jennings were originally supposed to be on the plane that Buddy Holly was on, but things happened that resulted in Richie Valens and the Big Bopper being on the plane instead, because Buddy Holly had originally rented it for himself and the Crickets, meaning Waylon Jennings and Sonny Curtis in that version, but they got talked out of or chose not to go on the plane, respectively. And so as a result of it, they ended up being on the bus and found out when they got to their next town that Buddy Holly and Richie and the Bopper had, along with the pilot, had crashed and died. So that was Sonny Curtis, who years after the Buddy Holly thing wrote the theme song to the Mary Tyler Moore Show. Okay, so let's move on to Number 8. Da-da-da-da-ding. This is the TV show I remember from when I was a kid. And, I mean, I wasn't that young of a kid. I was 12 or something. I don't remember what it was, but I was younger-ish. And this is the theme song to a TV show that I used to really like because I had a crush on Candace Cameron as a kid. Who didn't? Probably not a lot of people. I'm not talking about now Candace Cameron. I'm talking about back then Candace Cameron. And everybody's got their own perspective. So, you know, you can hate her or like her. Doesn't matter. She's still living her life. But here's the theme to the TV show she was on that I really liked. And, once again, family themed. Check it out.
Whatever happened to predictability? The milkman, the paperboy, evening TV. Did I get delivered here? Somebody tell me, please. This whole world's confusing me. Clouds as mean as you've ever seen. Ain't a bird who knows you're true. Then a little voice inside you whispers, don't sell your dreams so soon. Everywhere you look, everywhere there's a heart, a hand to hold on to. Everywhere you look, everywhere there's a place, somebody who needs you. Everywhere you look, when you're lost out there and you're all alone, God is waiting to carry you home.
Everywhere you look. That's really a song about family, you know, and the struggles of growing up, which I really obviously could associate with back then. You know, what are your dreams? Don't give up on your dreams. There's a lot of things within that song that are just, you know, very relatable as a kid if you could connect to them, you know, and also when you're seeing things change around you in the world, to kind of not lose hope or to give up on things because you see things changing. You know, there's a certain amount of, we just have to roll with the times, but also knowing that there is that safety there of people who love you and who will be there to support you through tough times, and that standing together, you get through tough times. This, number 9, once again, none of them in particular order, because I like them all for different reasons. But, excuse me. This one is great because it, it keeps along with the theme of what we've been talking about. And I just really like the theme song. And I like the show. And away we go. That's not it. What happened there? Did you mess up my song? What's up? That ain't a girl. All right, here it is. Let's see if this is it. Okay. And play.
It's a rare condition this day and age to read any good news on the newspaper page. And love and tradition of the grand design, some people say, is even harder to find. Well, then there must be some magic clue inside these gentle walls. 'Cause all I see is a tower of dreams, real love bursting out of every scene. As days go by, we're gonna fill our house with happy smother the bruise with tenderness. Days go by. There's room for you, room for me, for gentle hearts and opportunity. As days go by, it's the bigger love of the family.
I love that I ended the family-oriented songs with that one. That show was just so awesome. By the way, I forgot to mention what the TV theme was for the previous one, and you do not recognize it. That was Full House. This theme was for, and it even talks about it in the show, and one of the most well-known shows, probably be because of a character that would say often, "Did I do that?" Steve Urkel, Family Matters, with Reginald Van Johnson, who was incredibly good in Die Hard, and who I think I'm really irritated that they did not use him more in Die Hard 2, because he's such a good actor. The great, oh my gosh, she was a great actress too. Or she is a great, she's not gone. She's still around, but her name is, who played Harriet Winslow?
Harriet Winslow's actor is Joe Marie Payton.
Jo Marie Payton,
That
that's
answer
it.
your question?
Yes. Jo Marie
Thanks for your
Payton.
feedback.
Stop. Jo Marie Payton played Harriet Winslow, and what some people don't know is that the characters of Harriet and Carl, which what his mother used to say. Now that lady has passed on.
Shall we begin?
Stop. Otherwise, the lady who played Carl's mother on Family Matters, she has since passed away, but she was very talented too. She'd been around for a long time. She did a lot of acting stuff too. But Jo Marie Payton, Harriet, and Carl actually started on the TV show Perfect Strangers. So Family Matters was actually a spin-off of Perfect Strangers. And then they did a little crossover and had Steve Urkel appear on Full House at one point. But he was a spin-off of Perfect Strangers, Family Matters was. And Jo Marie Payton, they went for I can't remember if they went for 11 or 12 years, but they went for they eventually jumped the shark, as the saying goes, the old Happy Day saying goes, and they went too far, and Jo Marie Payton decided to walk away from the series, which I think was smart. You know, I mean, you don't need to keep getting a payday just so you can, get a payday. She said, I'm just done. I want to move on. And that next season, they recast someone else as Harriet. Wasn't the same dynamic. And I don't even know if they just did it as a filler more than anything else, just to have someone there, versus saying Harriet was, doing a job or taking care of an aunt in some other state, which would have been better if they had just let Harriet go visit someone in another state or something. She had taken a trip to Mypos to visit Bauki or something, just they had done something with it other than recast the role, but they decided to recast the role. Don't get me on that, but Jo Marie Payton, incredibly talented, just like the lady who, when they recast the role of the aunt on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and the lady wasn't nearly as good as the original one who played Vivian. She was a great actress, and she actually has her own YouTube channel. Is it Blacktress? I think that's her name. I think that's her YouTube name is Blacktress. But she's it's my thing over there. But she's very talented. Anyways, this show, the theme is the exact same concept. We're going to fill our house with happiness. We're going to have good times. It'll be tough times, but we'll be there to take care of each other, love each other through it. And, you just don't see TV shows that are about that anymore. We don't have that kind of family time stuff where you sit down and connect with your family anymore. And as a result of it, we've become almost to the point where we're separated and we're not teaching each other. We're not passing on values of the past that are just good for family. And that's a disappointment to me. Excuse me for one second. Aren't you lucky there's a cough button? Anyways, so I just really like that show, and so many good episodes. And one of the things that I also found fascinating about the TV show Family Matters was, Jaleel White, who played Steve Urkel, was not originally supposed to be a very big character. He was supposed to be what's called a one-off, which is he was supposed to come in, be this weird little neighbor, and then just go away. And so he said he didn't even necessarily think a lot about it one way or another. He just got to play this nerdy character and such. But something about the way he did that performance captured the audience interest. And they were like, who is this character? Where else is this person from? He's into bugs and whatever else he's into. And so they brought him back, and to Jaleel White and the credit of the writers, they evolved this character who turned out came to show people that, it's sometimes the offbeat and people you don't expect or that you underestimate that end up being the ones who can make a huge difference in your life and have the ability to do great things. It's kind of like that when they think there's the most likely to succeed, and they had those old TV shows where they'd have, nerds who became hot or something like that, or nerds who became porn stars or whatever they decided to call it. But this character was an example of someone who was underestimated because of his, unique way and style, and ended up being a great character who had a lot of commitment. He was a symbol of commitment to the woman he loved. And, in later years, in Family Matters, they actually had it to where Steve created this, it's a TV show, so you got to, put aside the it's a sitcom too, the kind of silliness of certain things, but you just get the point of it, which was that Steve becomes able to separate himself from this other personality he created, which was Stefan Urkel, which was this smooth, good-looking model-type guy, which Laura ends up falling for, even though she refused to like Steve. She fell head over heels for Stefan because he was style and grace, and he had this, charisma or whatever that she didn't feel Steve had. But eventually, she saw that Stefan actually was not what she was looking for, because he was all these beautiful, wonderful things about him, but he was missing that quirkiness and kind of playfulness and, unexpectedness and spontaneity that Steve had. And so in the end of it, I get teary-eyed just thinking about it, because the latter parts of the series, I think it's one of the second to last line in the series before the series ends, they have Urkel goes up into space, and it looks like he's trapped and he's not going to make it down, and he gets to come back. He finally makes it back, of course, because it's a sitcom, and he's talking to Laura, and she's happy to see him, and she says, you want to go back to the stars again or something? Do you want to go back and see the stars again? Something to that effect. And he says, only when we kiss, baby. Only when we kiss. And I love that because, it's just about someone who, overcame all the things he overcame, and he was an underdog. And look what he accomplished. And we should all hope to know someone like that, or to be one of those kinds of people who overcome no matter what anyone says. Just like your dreams. Don't give up on your dreams. Doesn't mean stalk people, by the way, but it means don't give up on your dreams, especially if they show some reciprocation and appreciation for who you are. Sometimes they're just not ready and you have to be patient. Or sometimes they're not the right person for you. But hopefully you're reasonable enough in your brain to realize what I'm talking about. Last one is all about never knowing what you can accomplish until suddenly it happens. Check this out.
Look at what's happened to me. I can't believe it myself. Suddenly I'm up on top of the world. It should have been somebody else. Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I never thought I could feel so free. Flying away on a wing and a prayer. Who could it be? Believe it or not, it's just me. Just like the light of a new day, it hit me from out of the blue, breaking me out of the spell I was in, making all of my wishes come true. Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I never thought I could feel so free. Flying away on a wing and a prayer. Who could it be? Believe it or not, it's just me. This is too good to be true. Look at me, falling for you.
So there you have it. That is the theme from The Greatest American Hero. So how do you not listen to that and think to yourself, life is full of surprises, and the things that I never thought would happen one day just do happen. And just like the light of a new day, things you never imagined could happen for you, can happen for you. And I think the lesson of that is kind of goes along with that old TV, that old song, because don't give up until you drink from the victor's cup. Because you never know until you'll try. You'll never know until you try. And Greatest American Hero could be just as equivalent to Greatest Brazilian Hero or Greatest Chinese Hero or Greatest whatever hero, because this just happened to relate to America. And America really is and has been the place where so many people come and still want to come to be a part of this culture and to be a part of what our definition is supposed to be, which is freedom, and anything can happen for you. It's not supposed to be a place that's limited for anyone of any color, of any gender, of any ideology. It's supposed to be a place where anybody who wants to accomplish something can accomplish something. You can't please everybody, and you should never try. Try to please yourself. Try to be proud of what you do and the things that you accomplish. And sometimes when you don't feel like you have a voice, let me give you an example. As of right now, if I'm remembering the numbers correctly, it was 6, 1, that's 13, and 14 is 27. As of right now, of the 5 videos I've posted previous to this one, and the podcast I've posted to this one on YouTube, and I'm not putting any major marketing into it. I want to make sure that that's clear too. I've had 27, views. I don't know how far they've listened. Maybe they listened 2 seconds. Maybe they listened 5 minutes. It's okay though. And it should be okay for you too. Number one, I should do more marketing, which I'm going to do, but this is really like a practice run for me in a lot of ways to continue to develop my skills to make sure that I can be strong on mic. We know I can talk forever. Case in point, you're, witnessing it right now if you're listening to this. But who knows when the day might come with the right effort I put in, with the added effort I put in to do this and other things marketing-wise. Who knows the day that I won't look and see that that's 3,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 or who knows? One day, maybe 1 million. But part of the success that we achieve and the things that we get in life and accomplish in life is not about the actual accomplishment. It's about the journey before it, the effort, what we learned about ourselves and how we grew as individuals. And each of us should have that journey. Nothing should be given to you because as soon as it's given to you, it has no value. You have to earn it. And that's the greatest American hero. That's the greatest hero of anything. Greatest hero of you is accomplishing things that you put the effort into. And to seeing that success, just one day it just appears. And it seems like it came out of nowhere because you could never imagine it, or to other people it may appear like that, to them. But to you, you know the history. It may be surprising if one day you jump from 27 views for 5 videos to 100,000 views for one video. It may seem like, oh my gosh, how did that happen? It's just insane. But it's also something, but you also know where you started and how you began and how you grew from that. And while people may go, wow, that's not fair. That guy has 100,000 views on a video, or that girl has 3 million hits on her website or whatever. There's a story behind it. And the hero is built by the journey. Not by the accomplishment, but by the journey. The determination, the commitment, and the never quit attitude. And all I can say is, God bless the broken road that leads you to whatever you want in life and the things that will make you happy and joyous. Feel free to post your list of your top 10 TV themes below, and you can feel free to include links to them on YouTube. I only encourage people to visit YouTube links to see the TV themes, or Amazon links, because I don't know about the other sites, and I don't want people getting these nonsensical viruses. So if anyone does happen to post a link in the description, in the comments below, that's an off YouTube or off Amazon site, don't go to it. Just stick with YouTube, or read the name of the theme of their show and type it in on YouTube yourself, or type it in on Amazon. Just something that's secure, because I don't want people to get messed up with viruses. And there's too many people that just have nothing better to do with their life than mess with other people's stuff. And if that's what they want to spend their lives doing, that's great. But here, we're about joy, family, faith in a God and in yourself. And just go get it. Go fight every day and have a lot of laughs and love along the way. Won't you?
Thanks for the words.
You're welcome, Mike Pence. You weren't supposed to be on the sound bites anymore, so you just screwed up my opening. Did you do that intentionally, Mike? I mean, you're kind of messing with a lot of people these days. Vice President. Man. Let me try that again. Take it easy.
Of encouragement and support. And
Again, Pence? Okay, listen. I want you to listen to me very carefully, okay? I'm not going to get political. You ain't going to make me...